My name is Matt Anderson. I'm the curator of history at the Sioux City Public Museum, and so that's where we're at to see the collection of Beatles memorabilia we have on display. We were contacted back in 2020 by a Sioux City resident named Kathy Podwysocki. And Kathy is an original Beatles fan, became a fan when she was 12 years old in 1964 when she saw him on the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time, and began collecting items that were associated with the group in addition to their music, and really over the course of her life compiled what has to be one of the larger private collections of Beatles memorabilia, certainly that anyone in Sioux City has, and probably in our region. We have had the material since 2020, so we've had it for a couple of years, but it took several months just to have it, get it cataloged and numbered and things like that. And so it's been a while. We've been planning to put it on an exhibit. We were kind of waiting for things to, post-COVID kind of things to straighten out to where we could put it out and kind of get a lot of people through here to see the memorabilia.
What kinds of things are there here?
Just about any kind of consumer product you can think of. Of course, in 1964, a lot of the Beatles audience were kids, preteens and teenagers, and so there are things like school supplies, like pencil cases and notebooks that have their imagery on it. But there are all kinds of there are clothing items like hats and things like purses and wallets and games and then things you might not think of. Well, you might think of because of the phenomenon that their long hair had at the time, or what was considered their long hair. So there's things like hairspray, hair cream, and things that were sold with their imagery on it that people presumed would go along with it. And so really most U.S. companies were interested in getting on the bandwagon when Beatlemania was at its height. And so most of the 3D material here was made in 1964 alone. There are a few exceptions, but really most of the collectible material that people are looking for to this day was made 1963 to 1966, which was when they stopped live touring. And so with the exception of some memorabilia associated with the Yellow Submarine cartoon in 1968, really it's from that real early period in their history. Since the memorabilia is kind of right at the beginning of their career, we kind of told the group's history and their musical legacy, which is the reason why this material has remained collectible up to this day, especially on the walls around it. And so we have a host of 45 RPM singles. We have most of the major albums either in the original LP form, or we have it, we just printed off the album cover so you get a sense of. And then what was interesting in those days is during the British invasion until about 1967, there were the British versions of their albums and the American versions, and they were somewhat different. And so that's another little story that kind of goes on in addition to the memorabilia that you can see. Kathy she was very touched, yeah. She hasn't had the opportunity to come down here personally yet, but I've sent her photographs of how it was, and she is really happy to have an opportunity for people, the public at large, to see what she was able to collect over time. Because certainly she's not the only Beatles fan in the Sioux City area, so a great opportunity for people.